Hey guys, LevelCap here and welcome to Devlog number 54 for C-Beams, a spaceship action RPG that I am building with my studio Distant Light Games. We're a decent bit into the development process and I've got some really cool stuff to show you today, like our first racetrack and racing system in the game, brand new environmental effects, an AGX color space, new asteroid designs, a new data-driven spawn system that's going to be massively key to the way that we build worlds, and more. Now, if you haven't done so already, be sure to wishlist C-Beams on Steam. There's a link in the video description, and it's a good way to sort of stay up to date and not miss the actual release of the game once we finally get there. But without further ado, let's jump into some of the cool new content. Starting off with the Slingshot, our new racing spaceship. I am so excited about this ship because it's very purpose-built. It doesn't have a cargo bay, meaning it's not really designed to partake in most mission activities. It's meant to race. Evan and I planned out the concept for the ship and he did the final modeling for it. If you're a fan of The Expanse, you may recognize some inspirations. And I mean, if we're gonna have a racing ship, we may as well build a racetrack for it, right? I'm excited to show off the latest work from Santiago, our environmental artist. This is Breaker's Run. Located in the Callan system, it was originally developed as a fun pastime for the asteroid miners and eventually became such a popular racetrack that it is now a full-on racing destination. Now, racing in C-Beams is just about the purest expression you can get of Sir Isaac Newton's first law of motion. There is no traction in this game. If you want to make it around a turn, you're going to have to rotate your ship so that the engine is pointing in the direction that you need it to be in order to provide the thrust just to hang on for dear life. It's incredibly fun. You could call it spaceship drifting if you wanted to, but it kind of redefines some of the basic rules of racing that we're used to, and I've been having a blast with it, trying to compete with the rest of the developers. Currently, Santiago, the level designer, has some crazy time that's around 43 seconds, which I can't even get close to. The goal with racing is to allow the player to experience different types of entertainment in the C-Beams universe and be rewarded for it. There will be specific rewards tied into how you place during a race. And there'll also be incredible instructional tools for teaching players how to move through the universe at faster speeds. This has also been a great way for Santiago to test out some of the larger asteroid building techniques that we're going to be applying to other levels where we need to create pathing throughout a level. So we'll be reusing many of these racetrack techniques in other levels that aren't necessarily about racing, but heck, your racing skills may come in handy. And while we're on the subject of asteroids, Santiago has been developing looks for different types of asteroids to help set our levels apart. One of the challenges for C-Beams is to try and make space look and feel different depending on what level you fly to. This is a challenge for space games, and one of the tools we'll be using will be stylized asteroids. So one asteroid belt might be more rocky, while another one might be more metallic, or you might have more icy asteroids. So we're really going to have a lot of fun with this. Now, another method for differentiating environments comes through not only environmental design, but also color grading. This is what our environment looked like back when we were working on the latest trailer for the game. Santiago spent more time switching us over to an AGX color management system. Unreal by default uses ACES, and people have claimed that Unreal games have that Unreal look. Switching over to AGX gives us a little bit more tools to hit some of the color palettes we want to, and man, I think Santiago's really knocking it out of the park. Now, there's only so much random level design we can do before you actually got to put some story and narrative behind it, which is what I've been working on. The mission sequences for the game, how the player's going to progress, what types of events are going to take them to the new regions and systems. So I've been blocking out most of basically what is chapter 1 and chapter 2 for the game and designing the actual system locations and names around that so that we have a template for what levels to build. Now, getting back to ship design, Evan and I are taking a look at our concept art board, and we've come up with a plan to develop a lot more ships quickly by kind of kit bashing them together with what we've already modeled for the game. This should hopefully speed up some ship development and get us some more cool ships quickly. So I kit bashed these ships and I've sent them over to Evan to basically make them look pretty. And hopefully this will speed up our ship production pipeline even further and allow us to just offer much more ship variety. It's something that's really important to me with this game is the ships are kind of like characters. So the more we have, the better. Now, one of the more important back-end systems that Rich has been working on for quite a while is our spawn state system. This system handles quite a few things: when to spawn actors into a level, when to unspawn them from a level, and how to save all of their data in case we move away from them or even jump to a different level and then come back. We need some level of persistence for the world to feel alive. And here's Rich to explain some of the logic.
Typically in open world adventure games, you've got these huge maps with forests full of trees with NPCs and creatures and towns. But at any given moment, it's usually just a small area around the player that everything is actually loaded and being processed. A lot of things that are really far away, like NPCs and small things that you can't see, just aren't loaded at all. But there can also be this in between where things are just dormant. So in C-Beams, we have a couple advantages where we don't have forests, and it's a top-down game, so you don't actually see much of the world on the screen at one time. Because we don't have forests and all the trees and all the creatures running around and rivers and things like that, we can keep a really large area loaded. But as an optimization, we have this dormancy system that keeps dynamic actors like stations and spaceships and even asteroids and loot in a dormant state. Things that are super far away are just going to be entirely asleep. Then we've got things that are in this zone here that are not quite dormant, they're awake but dumb. This is going to be for ships, for example, following a patrol route, but they're not looking for targets yet or anything like that until the player gets closer. And then when they're in this range here, they're fully awake and everything. Another complexity here is that if the ship crosses one of these thresholds very frequently, usually it's the player that's moving around quickly and unpredictably. We don't want this thing to keep crossing that line and waking up and going to sleep and doing that really rapidly. So instead of just one band where it could cross back and forth, there's two bands where one puts it to sleep and the other one wakes it up. So if an actor is going away from the player, it waits to hit this outer band before it goes to sleep. And then if it's coming toward the player, it doesn't wake up until it hits the inner band.
Now that's just one small section of many of the systems Rich has been working on. There's a lot of complex logic in there. And another system that's gotten a lot of work over the past month is mining. Preben, our generalist engineer, has been working hard on this system to get all the logic working the way we want it to, as mining is going to be a big part of the game. It may have looked pretty similar in the last trailer that we showed to you, but that was kind of a cobbled together, barely functional system. We're dialing in the logic for this, and soon we're going to get a little bit of a mechanics pass on the beam system and then a full UI overhaul. So hopefully the next time I show you guys mining, it will not only be bug-free, but also much more refined and polished looking. So as you can see, we've been busy, and some of the busiest people on the team have been working on back-end systems that are just kind of like code and building up the infrastructure for complex systems, whether it comes to environment spawning and making sure everything spawns and despawns at the right time, or gameplay ability systems where we're talking about building overheat mechanics for weapons and how to modify that with player skills. There's a lot of back-end logic that needs to be sorted that doesn't necessarily translate into cool looking devlog stuff. I'd be curious to hear your opinion on how you might want to see that stuff, if you want just a general overview or show it off once the whole system's done. Sometimes these systems could take months to build depending on their complexity. So it's an interesting challenge making a devlog showing off really complex stuff. I feel like some of the guys doing the visual effects get a lot more showcasing because it's more entertaining from a video perspective. I hope you guys enjoyed that devlog. Once again, if you haven't wishlisted the game, check out the video description, and there's also more devlogs and trailers and stuff like that right here if you want to check out more C-Beams related content. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.